How's it going, ladies and Bruce? I'm Bobby Sixkilla and welcome back to Sekimeiya. It's time for us to explore the second floor, the offices. We're heading up the elevator to the offices. We've now split up into two groups. One group's going up the stairs, and one group's going up the elevator because the little girl was being a dick about it, and she wants to go up the elevator. Fine. I mean, at least we don't have to walk up the stairs, right? That's something. Anyway, so we're going all the way to the top, 6th floor, I believe. Not the top, because we're not allowed to go into the living space. But the top of the offices, and they're going to the bottom, and we're going to meet in the middle. Try to find Naomi. If she's here. Alive. Maybe. Or her corpse. One or the other. Let's carry on, shall we? That's enough spiel for one day. The elevator didn't shake at all. So we only knew that we were moving because of the screechy noise the ropes above us were making. It is a long trip, huh? They were quite a few seconds. Since the doors to the other floors were fully opaque, they were also dim. Ironically, I felt a vague sense of claustrophobia for the first time since we'd awakened. Awkward. Oh good, we're here, thank God. We're not forced into a situation where we have to talk to each other. Yeah, I hate that. Once the elevator slowed down and the secondary doors allowed us to leave, I opened the door that would lead us to an unknown place. We stepped out and looked around us. A long hallway composed of calm colours extended far ahead. Is this really the same building? Compared to what we'd seen downstairs, the scenery around us was more pleasant. We even felt a slight cold breeze that alleviated some of the tension we'd been accumulating. More bathrooms? Since people used to work here, there might be two on every floor. Outside the elevator, we found ourselves in a wide corridor that only contained a few potted plants. At our right were the bathrooms and the staircase that led to floor 5. I suppose we should look around. The three girls entered the bathroom while I stepped into the men's one by myself. Like the one on the crystal floor, it was spacious, but only contained a sink with a mirror, a garbage bin, and a toilet. It was easy to tell that I was the only person inside. Although a potentially dangerous culprit might have been hiding from us, I loosened up a little. Interestingly, the thought of looking through those huge floors without restriction had released some strain from my body, which allowed me to think about needs that had disappeared from my mind, like using the bathroom for its intended purpose. Man, I gotta take a dump! Gotta drop the kids off at the pool. Outside, I found the others waiting for me behind the door, and we went ahead to see if anything of importance waited us nearby. We turned left past the large hallway, and we were met with a narrower path, whose left wall was made of glass. What's this? These must be the offices. I could only see desks and computers. Shiroya felt the handle and realized that the door wasn't locked. She easily pushed it open without making a sound and let us pass. There's another door in the back. Since this floor is as big as the first one, it must have a lot of space to encompass a bunch of these. Isla walked up to the far door and opened it. It looks the same. We glanced through it and saw a replica of the room. It looked identical down to the last object, with the same arrangement of desks and computers. There's another door there. We approached it, although the first wall was made of glass. The next two partitions were separated by plastic that heavily obscured the other side. Through the door we were able to see that, once again, the third section looked exactly like the first two. The exception was the lack of a door leading to a fourth. Even though the initial thought of inspecting a huge building had sounded slightly interesting, the layout made it a trivial task. There's nothing here either. Let's look around a bit. I doubt it, but we might find something interesting. Yeah, let's see. We dispersed ourselves throughout the three large partitions, and I was left with the third one. The desks all had drawers, but upon further inspection, they didn't contain anything relevant to us. The only thing of note was that each desk contained a computer tower inside its lower large compartment. I returned to the second partition. There are even cameras here. Yeah, I saw them. They do look a bit out of place. It's probably a result of Ashiya's paranoia. In an office setting? They don't want someone stealing your computer, right? I'm not sure this would help them much, but it seems so. Maybe it's to make sure the workers didn't slack off. Even though it sounded like a joke, I understood she hadn't intended it as one. After all, in the second and third partitions, you could be seen from outside. The wall covered the partition's sides, and a cloudy white one kept them from seeing each other. It was a pretty cramped place, and I couldn't imagine myself working calmly with that camera pointed at me. I wasn't sure what the jobs there entailed, but from looking at the number of computers, a large amount of people must have worked at once. Adding to the fact that 5 similar floors were supposed to exist, it felt almost excessive. I stepped into the first partition to see Edina and Isla looking at a lit screen. Upon noticing me, they were first to speak. I powered on this computer, but it's taken a while to boot up. On the screen, I can see a percentage bar that almost reached the end. I briefly worried that Ashiya would review the footage of us by using the computers. It wasn't like we were doing anything illicit. Soon Shiroya came from the middle partition, and the four of us stared at the same screen. Found anything? No, and I don't imagine we will. See? I haven't either. Isla was mimicking what she'd seen Shiroya do, opening and closing the drawers. She appeared visibly sad when the last one still contained only pens and papers. Pens are good. I got a pen right here. It's green. Oh man, it's a green screen. Oh look, I doubt we'll be able to access anything. On the screen were two text boxes demanding a username and a password. Without them, we wouldn't be able to look at anything. That's unfortunate. Just in case, I tried inputting common default information, but nothing gave a positive result. Admin, password. Yeah, these won't be any use. I gave up and straightened myself. Let's keep going. The lower floors will probably be the same, so we'll go through them faster. The stairs leading to floor 5 were next to the elevator, but let's see what was on the other side first. We walked out, Isla holding the door for us. Shiroya gave her a charming smile and helped her before Edna exited through. As soon as we turned left, we were met with something I'd seen from behind the glass. What's that for? Oh right, I forgot about these. Two big windows were on the wall, but as we've been told, a shutter prevented us from seeing through them. Yeah, they're the windows. They're the same kind of shutter as the one in the lobby. Isla made a thinking sound. I also hadn't thought of the windows, and since they were barely visible from the first partition, their purpose might not have been to relax the workers. I remember seeing them from outside. Yes, they should be facing the front of the tower. We'd normally be able to see most of Yushibana from here. I knew it! Isla approached the shutters with her hand and felt them a bit. They seemed very sturdy. I'm not sure this would be the most viable escape route for a criminal. We're on the 6th floor, so to escape from here, you definitely need special help. A wingsuit, you'd have to be Batman. Yeah, they took no risks this time. It would be tough. But even this window could serve as an exit with a proper plan. Isla, who'd been acting as if she were at home, left us behind and went to explore what looked to be another corridor. After understanding that nothing was to be done with the windows, we moved along too. A narrower path was on the other side of the floor, however, it didn't appear to lead anywhere. Was it a dead end? Oh. Isla turned around when she realized that, as nothing else was left to be inspected, we walked back and returned to the initial hallway. I guess this was floor 6. Let's see if anything's different on the others. We came to the conclusion that it's very likely the culprit is here, so this layout makes things easy for us. We arrived on floor 5 in silence. It looked very similar to the 6th, and it had some bathrooms at our right. We looked at them while making sure nobody could sneak past us and go a floor up. At first glance, the floor appeared to have the same structure as the previous. I inspected one of the plants just to be safe. The soil in these is actually really shallow. I don't think anyone could hide something in here. The pots themselves weren't hollow either. Nobody could hide anything underneath them. I didn't think anyone had, but in case there was still something else going on, I wanted to have my bases covered. I couldn't actually tell if the plants were fake or not. It didn't really matter. I visualized the layout of the floors in my head as I considered how unlikely it actually was for someone to be hiding in them. After walking further in, it was clear that it was almost identical. Is every floor exactly like this? They probably are, but we have to look at them to be sure. Why is this place so big? Come on, Isla, you're bothering Shiroya and Atsuki. We need to keep moving. Oh. As long as someone stays in the first partition and can look through the glass, we can make sure nobody moves between the floors unseen. Right, one person always needs to stay out of the last two. Alright. Since we'd seen no stairs going down, I walked to the other side. Yeah, that's what I figured. The stairs to the 4th floor are here. We just need to watch them. I walked back as the others entered the first partition. Once again, the 4 of us found ourselves in a room full of desks and computers. I mean, try not to think about it, but what if there's someone in one of the next 2 rooms? What do we plan to do? We went quiet for a bit. She's right. We've been maintaining a light-hearted attitude, but things may change drastically in an instant. We don't know what we're up against, but the truth of the matter is that we're in a dangerous situation. Perhaps we should just stay put. Without Sai around, that sounded a lot smarter. Edna would be playing along with us, but she must have been afraid something could happen to Isla. I doubt they'd want to hurt us, but without Akuro, our only physical advantage is there are 4 of us. I guess if someone's hiding though, nothing guarantees it's only one person. As our perspective on the situation shifted over a single comment, I slowly moved toward the door in front of me. Even though those walls weren't transparent, they let through light. If someone were right next to them, we'd see a vague outline of them. In a slightly tense manner, I placed my hand on the handle and slowly opened the door. I don't see anybody. I'll check the last one. Shiroya kept the door open so that my voice could still reach the first partition. I grabbed the next handle and pushed the door forward. It's empty too. I loosened my grip and walked back to the others. It seemed nobody had been on floor 5 either. Should we also look here around here? We probably won't find anything, but I think we should. I agree. We're not only looking for people. In the case the culprit wanted to get rid of something, they probably did it with the suitcase. They wouldn't have had many places to do so. That's true. The crystal floor has a simple layout, but these are even worse. If you wanted to hide something here, you'd only have these drawers. That's what I mean. Someone was likely here since that door at the stairs was unlocked. So let's see if we can find something. Isla took that as a cue to start opening all the drawers. Man, if I was a kid, I wouldn't be able to help myself opening all the drawers. Actually, as an adult, I don't think I'd be able to help myself. Again, I went to the third partition while Shiroya stayed in the middle one. Opening every drawer was all I could do. There wasn't anything under the desks that could hide something, and the floor was nothing but a mess of cables. In less than 2 minutes, I could be sure that nothing of importance existed in that section of floor 5. I left it to find Shiroya, about to be done with hers. Nothing, I imagine? Yeah, I looked at some of these papers, but I don't think they have anything to tell us. Some were financial reports, but others I didn't understand at all. That's about what I saw on the other floor. I tried not to look at them much, since a camera was right behind me. Oh yeah, I'll probably look through the footage to make sure that nothing strange happened. She apologized facing the camera before opening the door to the first partition. Perhaps the situation had forced her to start moving back to her usual persona in a similar way. I felt it was affecting me. I smiled at her and went through the door she'd opened, calmly, calmed by the thought that my worries about her had been imagined. Are you done? We didn't find anything. Neither did we. We can move on then. If the other group went to at the same pace, we should find them on the next floor. We were about to leave when a sound alerted me. A very faint but deep noise that lasted almost 2 seconds was very vaguely heard from where we were. 2 of us visibly reacted at the reminder that our situation was very uncertain, and having effortlessly deemed 2 full floors as harmless might have amplified the impact of a single light noise had on us. Isla, however, appeared unfazed. Perhaps ignorance was bliss, but it seemed like she had no concerns whatsoever. You heard that? You guys heard that, right? I didn't hear anything. I'm not sure I did. What was it? I don't know, but I heard it too. It was quiet, but I think it came from this floor. Shiroya and Edina looked a bit tense and focused their hearing in case something could be heard again. It must have been the others. I opened the door. I wanted the initial inspection to finally end, to permanently release the stress that I'd been building, knowing that a hiding culprit could have been anywhere. I realized Edina and Shiroya were coming along. We only had 2 directions to choose, and I hadn't made out the origin of the sound. However, since the right path led to floor 6, it was fair to assume that it had come from the left. Edina quickly checked the right hallway and indicated that she hadn't seen anything. As I reached the end of the glass that Isla was looking at me through, I peeked into the next corridor. I don't see anything. Shiroya looked too, and saw the completely empty path. It might have come from floor 4. Possibly. I couldn't tell. We entered the first partition again, where Isla was calmly sitting on a rotating chair and staring at our distressed faces. Do we keep going? Yes, we need to ask the others what that sound was. All of us felt it was appropriate to exhale. However, Isla disagreed. You don't need to look so worried. Nothing bad will happen. I would always have imagined I'd be the one saying that in a time like this. Believe me, there's no reason to be scared. Any particular reason you say that? I know nothing will happen. We just need to wait until we can leave. I saw Shiroya staring at her with skepticism. She knew optimism was great when it hadn't failed you yet. You're probably right. We only got caught up in an inconvenient situation. Yeah, we'll be back home in just a few hours, so let's go back down already. If nothing else, her playful smile made it clear that she was aware she was being unreasonable with the last part. Her high spirits were genuinely impressive. But I'm being serious. We don't need to search for any hidden person. There's no one here. We're searching precisely to know that for sure. I'm already telling you, these floors are a lot more boring than the crystal floor, so we don't need to waste our time like this. Waste our time? If I'd intended to take it seriously, I couldn't have helped but laugh. So, you know the result of a search that hasn't finished? Yes. Shinoya and Editor's expression told me that arguing would lead us nowhere. But I was stubborn and slightly curious about her attitude. How could you possibly know that? Because I was told. My brain processed that line as another thoughtless remark she'd made up to justify her claims. Only after a few seconds of silence did I understand what she'd said. What do you mean? Who told you? My friend. Not again. Don't take her seriously, she's been acting like this lately. What do you mean? Maybe she's a bit careless, but she's a kid. I don't think it's anything strange. I don't just mean the lies. Her behavior has been changing recently. In what way? Isla, who was right there, responded with a face full of disagreement. Well, I've talked to her a bit about this. I don't know why, but a few weeks ago she started talking about this friend of hers. Again, Isla breathed in a sad manner, as if she was being ridiculed unfairly. She just doesn't want to believe me, but I know I'm right. I only tried to make you feel better. What kind of friend do you mean? Who are they? I can't tell you that. It's our secret. See? This is what she says. Recently, she started constantly referencing this intangible friend of hers. At first, I was happy to hear her talking about a friend, since the teachers at school usually tell me that she's more on the lonely side. She never really talked about her friends until now. But she quickly made it sound as if she was always with them, and kept explaining to me things that she'd been told. I knew she'd made it all up because I've never seen her with anyone, and the things she'd presumably been told were all things that she'd said before or things that I felt she would say. We watched my favourite movie together, and it was her favourite too, and she went to the aquarium last month, just like us. You see what I mean? So she's a girl too? Yes, that's the only thing we agreed we could say. I'd probably be taking it better if it were the only thing that had changed, but she also started to behave differently in other ways. She frequently stopped listening to what I told her to do, spent less time with me, and one day I found out that she hadn't gone to school because she hadn't felt like it. I really don't know what's gotten into her. An imaginary friend at her age isn't too strange, but it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, especially if it comes with so many more changes. Why won't you believe me? She is real, I keep telling you. I don't think you should act against it, right? Let her have her fun with her friend. Not missing school and shit, though. So she told you that everything would be fine and that we'd make it out safely, right? Yes. I believe you. There's nothing wrong with what you're saying. Thank you, Tanya. So, how's she handling this? Did she like the Sekimeiya? Isla looked confused, as if she'd been betrayed by the first person who had accepted her. No, of course not. She's not here, right? Oh, no, I suppose not. She told me that we would make it out safely before we came to the tower. What do you mean to say? What exactly did she tell you? You shouldn't listen to her. Don't you see this isn't something to take seriously? I've tried it, but it's pointless. She told me that something would happen in the tower, but not to worry. She said that if we stayed calm, in one place, nobody would be hurt, and she promised I'd be able to see and touch the Sekimeiya, so she was right, wasn't she? Before answering, I kept trying to make sense of a confusing bunch of words. However, I started to think that her story could be seen in a completely different way, a much more ominous one. You're not telling the truth, right? You never lied up until a month ago. What happened? Do you mean telling us details about this person? How old is she, for example? I won't tell you anything. That's what we promised. I don't know. You said she was an honest kid. Do you think there's a chance she's telling the truth? I understand you'd think that, but no. I'm sure she's lying. She always makes it sound as if her friend lives with us, but of course, I know that's not possible. We live alone. Isla, we're talking about a human person, right? Yes, animals can't talk. Right, you got me there. She was clearly unhappy with our reactions, but we had no other way to respond to what she was saying. Obviously, no friend would appear out of nowhere and start living with you. If that was what Isla claimed, then I agreed with the editor's conclusions. So, what did she tell you about today's incident? Any more details? Why would I tell you if you won't believe me? She couldn't come. So she said that even though she didn't know how it would end or how long we'd stay here for, she'd wait for me at home. She didn't know how it would end. What does that mean? And why couldn't she come? She can't see the future. She was right about a lot of stuff, so I trusted her. And today, she couldn't come because I was supposed to. You were supposed to? What does that even mean? I was supposed to come here, right? We planned this since the Sekimeiya was announced, and I was really excited. So, you can't let me skip today's class, so you even let me skip today's classes. If she'd come, you would have seen her. That's why she couldn't. Alright then, I apologize for putting a damper on your fun. Don't worry about that. What matters is that nobody else is here. We don't really need to keep searching. Is that something your friend mentioned? Did she tell you the people who would get trapped? Maybe, I'm not really sure if I should tell you, but she didn't say a lot about it. It might be helpful, so we'd appreciate it. Well, she didn't tell me the names of everyone, but she did say that only 7 people would get trapped, and that if we kept calm, nothing bad would happen. 7 people? But Naomi must also be here. She wanted to be helpful, so she told me as much as she could. She said it'd be me, Mum, 3 boys and 2 girls, and that they wouldn't be bad people. Come on, Isla. How do you intend to say that she knew that? She's very smart, a lot smarter than me. But she was wrong here, so I think I might not be remembering right. Alright, according to her, 3 men and 4 women would end up trapped. As things are right now, it's 4 men and 3 women, not counting Naomi. That's true, see? If she was wrong about this, she might have been wrong when she said nobody else would get trapped. But no, that's not right. I might be wrong about the number of boys and girls, but I'm sure she said only 7 people would stay. Listen, we can't stop searching because of what someone told you before we came here. She couldn't have known anything, don't you get it? But she was right. We ended up trapped, and it's 7 of us. She even said all the windows would lock down. I'm very confused about this. Are you just blatantly lying to us? Because only a very select number of people would have known about the alarm's existence. If she truly said that, could it be that your friend works here? No, that's impossible. I won't say anything else or I might put her in danger. You can believe what I said if you want. Standing up from the chair, Isla reached for the door and left. Despite all she'd said, we still saw leaving her alone as dangerous, so we followed her toward the fourth floor. What the hell was all of that? There really are only 2 options. Either Isla is lying, or someone who knew the attack would happen has been in contact with her. I'm not sure I want to believe her, but I think it's much more likely that the first option is correct. Creating an imaginary friend and making up all sorts of lies and excuses to justify their existence isn't uncommon behavior. But some things she said are really strange. If she was trying to justify her friend's existence, why would she purposefully list out the number of men and women incorrectly? And given how likely it is for Naomi to still be here, why would she claim otherwise? Wouldn't finding Naomi disprove her friend? If someone told Isla about the alarm, they had to work here. It's been continuously told to us that very few people know about it. I guess another possibility is that Shin found out about the alarm and its features. Isla did say that her friend doesn't work here. Now the big question, why would Shin make contact with Isla and tell her all about that? What's there to gain? And why Isla? There's no way her friend lives with him like she said. That would mean that Shin instructed her to lie about her friend's identity so that the actual person couldn't be found. But why the hell would they let her speak about it at all instead of telling her to keep fully quiet? Isla told us that she promised her friend not to reveal information about her, but it didn't seem like they'd agreed to not reveal information about today's incident. I have no idea what anyone would have to gain by telling Isla about any of this, but if their intention was to manipulate her actions in some way, there has to be a very important reason. One last thing is that Isla's friend didn't know how things would end. This appears to back up Sai's theory. The plan isn't over yet. However, she also said that she didn't know how long we'd stay for. 12 hours is the maximum time. Is it possible that depending on how some events play out, we could leave early? Incidentally, her friend told us that everything would be fine if we stayed put somewhere. Could it be that Shin doesn't want us to search around the building? I'm not sure how I should be handling it, since it didn't seem as if she was instructed to tell us any of this. She just mentioned it out of honest concern, after seeing how worried we were. If none of her actions were instructed, and she was only given details, I can't think of a single reason why Shin would do such a seemingly pointless and risky thing. If her friend is an actual person who knew this incident would occur, it follows that they knew she would end up involved in it. Since I can't think of why Shin would do it, the smallest thing I construct has, once again, Katai as the focus. The only thing Isla revealed about her friend's identity was her gender and the fact that they don't work in this building. I've been thinking of Katai as the core suspect, so it's easy to pin him as the identity behind Isla's friend. If he instructed Isla to make sure not to reveal his identity, she would have called her friend a girl, and the one thing she would have denied would have been them working in the tower. I'm not sure how much credit I should give Isla, or if I'm going off on too many branches, but even though she's a kid, she surely should be able to bring things up without making it evident she'd been waiting for a good moment. I have no idea what any of this accomplishes, but since only some of Ashiya's workers could have known about the alarm's existence, only them or an attacker with inside information could have been in contact with Isla. Reasons aside, an Ashiya employee could have been relaying information to her. 2 happen to come to mind, one being a man and the other being a woman. In the end though, I went back to thinking the most likely possibility was that Isla had made everything up. Maybe she'd randomly thought of mentioning the number of men and women, but had purposefully said them incorrectly, as an unusual thing she would have had no reason to make up. I think he'd given her too much credit, but maybe. Maybe she intended to say it the right way, but had quickly realized that she miscounted. The whole thing had truly messed with me, and I kept on trying to make sense of it until we reached the 4th floor. It appeared desolate as soon as we arrived. The chance of finding people increased with each floor, so with a bit of precaution we moved toward the partitions. Is the other group not here yet? The first partition looked empty. Once again, we saw the same layout as the other floors. Maybe they found something. I think they would have already arrived here. I repeated the earlier process and quickly deemed the 3 partitions empty. Next were the 2 bathrooms, however, before we headed to them, I thought I noticed another sound, just as faint as the last. It was easy to pinpoint the origin. I peeked into the right corridor and saw 2 human figures standing next to the staircase. They're here. Our attention was quickly diverted. The 3 girls glanced as well, and we quickly spotted them. Where's Katai? As Isla pointed out, only Sai and Akira were there. As soon as they noticed us, they stopped talking and gestured at us to come over. How'd things go? Anything notable? Nothing. Are the other 2 floors like this one? Exactly the same. They only contain 3 big rooms full of offices. Where did Katai go? Why is he not with you? Well, it's not the easiest thing to explain. It is. Naomi showed up and requested to talk to him privately. Huh? Where was she? It can't be though. Naomi shouldn't be here. It's time to stop, Isla. Don't keep going where it's clear you're wrong. Why shouldn't she? We were about to move up to this floor when Naomi came from the second. I'm positive she came from the stairs. From the stairs? Shouldn't you guys have inspected floor 2? We did. It's very possible she was on the crystal floor, since there was no place to hide on the second one. And she voluntarily appeared to talk to Katai? Pretty much. Looks like she wanted to talk to Akira first, but as soon as she saw Katai, she forgot about him. Well, she approached me first because I was closer to the stairs. Then they went down to talk. Yes, we finished up floor 3, and we're waiting here. Since we looked at the 2 bathrooms, they left about 15 minutes ago. Did you not try to follow them? What did they want to talk about? Naomi went ahead and asked us not to follow them, so unfortunately I had to abandon my plan of tagging along. Realistically, if they made sure to be alone, we couldn't have done anything to eavesdrop without being noticed. The quarters here are pretty tight. It sounded like they wanted to talk about confidential matters. When I first saw Naomi, I got really surprised, but her face must have looked even more distressed than mine. She looked preoccupied and determined at the same time. That's how I defined her, and she was insisting to talk to Katai privately. I see. We were debating the contents of their talk just now. I gave Akira the rundown regarding Katai, and he really hadn't considered anything. I still think you're overthinking a few things, but I can't deny that they're the 2 most suspicious people. Sai really thinks they're up to no good. Am I being unreasonable? If I was wrong, they would have told us the main gist of it. Naomi might not have been with us the whole time, but she must have been conscious of the situation and our perception of her, but she barely acknowledged us. I'm still trying to process everything, so Naomi really was here. This means that the most likely scenario is that she was the one to leave the suitcase downstairs, right? Yes. She might not have been aware of how wary we were of her and openly showed up to talk with the other remaining suspect. Katai also looked surprised, so perhaps he thought she should have remained hidden. Regardless, it's safe to assume they're now talking about their plan. You should trust them a bit more since the 2 of them work here. I think it's very possible they're talking about Ashiya matters. Tell me then, why did Naomi hide from us? Why did she appear out of nowhere? And didn't even try to explain anything? Her actions are strange, even if she's on the culprit's side. But her face wasn't one of someone who suddenly got trapped and looked for people for an entire hour. Her perspective might be different from ours. Being an Ashiya employee, she's aware of Shin's attacks. And I acknowledge that possibility. Her actions simply make it unlikely. Well, we'll have to wait for them to come back. I'm sure they'll clarify all of this. Yeah, we decided to stay here and make sure they couldn't escape. But we also waited for you four. They can't escape. The whole building's on lockdown. If there are more than 2 of us, we can simply split ourselves through the first 3 floors while someone stays here to make sure they're confined below. Wouldn't they be able to use the elevator? Yes, but we would know. I meant to ask you guys about that. A few minutes ago, after Katai and Naomi left, we heard the elevator moving through our floor. Even though we were next to it, we weren't able to determine the direction it was going to. But since you've gone to the 6th floor, it could only have been going down. We only heard it once. Oh, so that was the elevator. That made sense. It had been a deep noise that had lingered for a bit, Since it had been moving, the exact position and floor it had come from hadn't been easily distinguishable. As I thought, none of you used it. That's strange, right? We were sure it was the elevator because it made the same noise we heard when you used it on the lowest floor. Even if you decided to go back down for some reason, we felt it appropriate to stay here. Are you sure it only moved one more time? Yeah, we were right next to it and only heard it once. That's why if Katai and Naomi use it, we'll know. We could even call it and keep the door open. That way, they wouldn't be able to use it at all. Right, that's what I thought you'd suggest. I stayed here for another reason too, which is why we didn't call it here and do that immediately. The sound might make it possible to anticipate the elevator. We might be quick enough to press the button before it goes past us. This would trap them inside it, and we could open the door before they can start moving again. I see. The sound from earlier doesn't make much sense though. We left the elevator on floor 6 and heard it moving on floor 5. As you said, it could only have been going down. Yeah, I don't get it. By floor 5, we knew nobody could have been above us. It's possible someone sneaked past you while you investigated. If all of you were inside the partitions, without looking through the glass, it could have happened. I really don't think so. I stayed in front for the most part, and I really doubt I missed anyone. Well, if you didn't, then someone below us could have called it. And what we heard was an empty elevator. Huh. It must be neither Katai or Naomi. So if you didn't hear it again, they must have called it, then not used it. Maybe the living quarters has people in it, or someone in it. We wouldn't know because we can't access it. And they're sneaking around. Right, maybe they wanted it easily available on floor 1 if they needed to use it. We began to hear footsteps in the distance. We all quieted down at the same time, straining to hear it if we'd imagined it. They didn't stop. The sound became more and more perceptible until it was clear that only one pair of legs was approaching. Let's see what's up. We stared at the staircase where the sound was coming from until Katai's white hair peeked from below. When he saw us, he looked up with a plain face and stopped moving without making it all the way up. Where's Naomi? We went to the crystal floor, but she didn't want to come back. Why not? Sal's immediate reaction threw Katai off, and he took a few seconds to answer. During that time, he looked at the rest of us. It might have just been my impression, but it felt like he was particularly fixed his eyes on me. She didn't explain it. I asked her to come since I knew I'd be highly suspicious otherwise, but she refused. She left the room where we were, and I stayed there a few more minutes sorting my thoughts out before returning here. What did you talk about? About the incident, of course. It surprised me a bit, but her intention was to clear her name. She told me she hadn't done anything. That was what she wanted to talk to you about privately? Yes, I didn't believe her though. You didn't? No. Her words sounded forced, as if she was trying to cover herself up with lies. I knew you'd been suspecting me, but since I know I'm innocent, my main suspicions were directed to Naomi from the beginning. She saw her explanations weren't working and refused to appear before you all. She must have tried her luck with me because we worked together for a long time. So she only wanted to convince you. Yes, I don't know why though. Even if she'd achieved that, it's not like she could have convinced the police. Hearing her justifications made me think that even more that she is in some way involved in this. Even though she ran away, I didn't try to find her immediately, since I figured there was no way she could keep hiding. She still has to be somewhere on the crystal floor. Out of curiosity, did you ever call the elevator? The elevator? No. Why? We heard it moving down, so if it wasn't you, Naomi might have called it. If it didn't go up again, it didn't go up again though. I see. So she's definitely still under us. Regardless, what did Naomi tell you? What was it that made you suspect her even harder? She spat out nothing but inconsistencies. She said that she'd been trying to find help ever since waking up. She couldn't answer why she'd gone up to the office floors instead of aiding Ed and his group, or staying with everyone in the event room. She tried to make me believe that she'd been searching for people until now, and that coincidentally, she hadn't found us yet. There was no way I could have believed that. According to her, she had nothing to do with the power outage or the suitcase. She said she didn't see the suitcase for the first time she went up, but that it was there when she came back down. I assume you didn't find anyone, naturally. Right. Then that has to settle it. If nobody else is here, only she could have left the suitcase in hallway C. She almost broke down as she thought of more ways to explain herself. You'll see when we find her. By the way, when the elevator moved, couldn't it have been the higher group? Us, no, we didn't use it again. Is that so? And you didn't get separated? Again, he said that while looking directly at me. No, we stayed together until now. Are you sure? Why are you being so insistent? Do you have a reason to think we split up? Oh no, I don't think so. Forgive me, Atsuki. What the hell was up with him? That had sounded like a taunt without having felt like one. His behaviour toward me had changed in some way. I didn't know the reason, but it felt like he was trying to incite me to say something. I'm sure they didn't split up. The 4 of them came from floor 5 and nobody could have gone past us while we were investigating floors 2 and 3. Alright then. As if we were all conspiring against him, he turned around and stopped moving. I was a bit puzzled, trying to understand how to interpret his new attitude. Well, we'll always be able to check the security footage once that's fixed. For now, we should make sure to find Naomi, I'd say. Implying one more time that there was more to our actions than we'd led on, he breathed slowly and started to go back down without turning around. Someone should stay here in case Naomi tries to go up. The rest of us will split downstairs to make sure she's found. Another person will be needed to stay on floor 2 to make sure she doesn't intend to pointlessly go hide there. 3 will be enough to inspect the whole first floor. 1 person will stay in the lobby, the other in hallway C, and the last person will check every room in both hallways. She will not escape. Since when has he been so organised? The person in the lobby will look through hallway B, and 1 at hallway C will look through hallway A. This time Naomi won't be able to cross between hallways. Let's go. I'll stay in the lobby and check the mechanical room. Alright, that doesn't sound bad to me. I'll look through the rooms. I think I should be the one to do that. Isla and I will stay here, since only 4 people are needed. We'll keep watch on the elevator. No, I want to look through the rooms too. Be a bit cooperative, Isla. I think staying here would be better for everyone. As if she hadn't heard her mother, Isla ran down the stairs instead of trying to convince her. The others thought it better to follow behind. Shiroya, Sai, and I were the ones without an assigned position, which left us unaware of what to do. It's not ideal, but I'll quickly check through floors 3 and 2 with Akudo's help, and then stay in hallway C. You two make sure the elevator doesn't let Naomi escape. Without waiting for a reply, Sai left both of us on the 4th floor all by ourselves. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up here because we're out of time for today. Interesting, so Naomi is here, and she has showed herself. But I presume her plan was to convince Katai that she was innocent, and then get him to convince us, because he spent a lot more time with us. So maybe she thought we trusted him. So if she could convince him, he could convince us. And then everything would be alright. But I don't know, man. Dodgy. But everybody's a bit dodgy around here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.